would Dean go live on Mars? I'm not saying the first person to rocket there. Would you go live there?
Well, if I was, actually, it would help if I was the first. That would just, I wouldn't mind being the first. If I'm going to go, I might as well be the first.
The first one might crash into the.
Well, that's true.
Into the red planet.
That's a good point. I go back and forth on that one. It's interesting because the journey to get to Mars, it's 7 months to get there, 1 year on Mars, 7 months to get back. So 26 months is a round trip. That's the most logical. Yeah, that's going to happen. We might be able to shave off a few months here and there, but not much. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at a 2-year trip. The dangers are mostly en route. The radiation exposure is what you're going to get, probably past lethal levels, there and back.
But if you could be there safely.
If I'd be there safely and it took me 2 years to get there and back, yeah, I'd do it.
So there's going to be people
especially if I was the first one.
There's going to be a lot of people that sign up for this.
There's lots. They have no shortage of volunteers to do this, and they have no shortage of volunteers that will go one way
and stay.
And that is a very interesting ethical question. Would we as a society be okay with sending people on what are essentially suicide missions, that you're going to go one way and live out the rest of your life on another planet if you volunteer, and that there's an outside chance we might be able to rescue you someday.
But how's that different from our existence here?
You could be walking down the street and anything could happen, and or you could think of the people that immigrated from country to country, or people who went to Australia for the first time. There was no thought of them ever going back. Mm-hmm. And you live out your entire life on Mars. I don't know what I think about it. I think that that's a tough one. I can see both sides on it. I'm like, you can if you know the deal ahead of time, anybody that's an astronaut knows it's a dangerous profession anyway, so you kind of know that. And then I usually joke with people about, I don't know if I would go, but I certainly would watch somebody else go.
That's life now.
And so if people volunteer and say, yeah, I want to go one way, all right, sure, why not?
Do you really think this idea of us developing a plan to get off of Earth when Earth is no longer sustaining for us, is that hundreds of thousands of years in the future? We don't know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So is this idea of planet hopping, because what are we going to planet hop to? Because we don't see the planets in our solar system that we could go live on.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to planet hop to
pretty
places.
far.
Yeah. Places that we don't even know the conditions of now. So are we doing this for thousands of years in the future of what our human ancestors will know then?
Yeah, the idea of us being a 2-planet civilization is really, really hard to imagine for me. And again, I might be lacking the imagination other people have, but I'm pretty realistic about how space travel is. And, if we want to look at how difficult space travel is, we don't have to go any farther than the moon missions. Mm-hmm. Last moon mission was 50 years ago. Why haven't we done it again? Really expensive, really doesn't give you much. Mm-hmm. Robotic crafts can do that. Now, if we want to go and make someplace livable, that's another level of complexity. So if we take all the moon missions that we did, which cost billions and billions of dollars, that sent 12 people to the moon for a few days each. So if we want to rescue 1 billion Earthlings and send them off planet, how?
And where?
Where? No, yeah, number one, well, I'll go with the how. How, we don't have the rockets to do it. We don't have enough money in the whole world to be able to do that. And then where do we send them? We're not going to send them to the moon. We're not going to send them to Mars. That's the thing. And this is hard to oh yeah, that's my other nickname is Buzzkill Astronomer.
Let's go. So the Buzzkill.
Buzzkill Astronomer.
Yep.
I hate to tell people
You're pragmatic, right? I mean, that's really what's happening here.
There is nowhere for us to go right now. There is no place that we know of where we can survive. And beyond, we can say, all right, we can make a moon base. We can make a Mars base. And,
who would want to do that?
Well, but then even if you do that.
But who would want to live there and raise future generations and all that? What? Just to survive and exist on the moon? What's there?
And if Earth goes south really bad, it becomes unlivable. That's the only place to go. We have a nuclear war. We have something that destroys life on Earth. There's a place to go. But even best case scenario, we make a moon base, we make a Mars base, where maybe you get hundreds of people to go there. Let's say 5,000 is if you get 5,000 people to get to Mars.
Maybe that's the people that have the kids there, then nobody else goes.
Well, so this is what I like to tell as the people's astronomer and the buzzkill astronomer at the same time. Do you think you are valuable enough to be one of those 5,000 that's going to be saved? They're going to need astronomers, and they're going to need buzzkill astronomers, and they're going to need real estate. There's going to be a lot of
real estate to sell.
So the two of us are probably in, but the rest of, we're probably.
So just like the pandemic, what they say, who's essential? So we would be essential.
We would be essential. And if I really think that, boy, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make that cut. Unless I can, knock Neil deGrasse Tyson out of the way or something like that. I think he's getting on it before me. So, it's not a practical thing, and so that makes me, we really, that's one of the perspectives about astronomy is that the other worlds out there are so incredible and so fascinating, and but none of them. You can't survive on any of them. This is the only place that we know of where you can walk outside and not die instantly.
So other than the sheer numbers game, because we believe, are there billions of planets? It's unknown. It's infinity, right?
Right.
What we can perceive universes to be, they're infinity.
Yeah.
We don't see any end.
Yeah, and it's the scale of the universe is you can't wrap your brain around it. But even just the technology of the last 10 years, we're finding planets around other stars. We would have never thought there'd be planets there. So we're looking at potentially billions of planets in our galaxy.
There's probably another setup. Who knows if there's human life or what it looks like, but there's probably organisms of some sort there.
Right.
Because what do you need? You need a sun, a moon, and a planet, and all the right.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you need.
Atmosphere, water, good temperature, that kind of stuff. But even if you have all those things, that not necessarily means there's life there, or you get the right, just think of our atmosphere. If we change just a little bit of our atmosphere, if it's not just nitrogen, oxygen, you add something else in there, you're a goner. And so it does give me this really amazing appreciation of Earth.
Of what we have.
It really does. It's hard to not be like an Earth lover after this, because we're finding all these other planets, and maybe we'll find a second Earth, but how do we get there? So the only place we can go is in the solar system, but none of the solar system spots are going to work. There's that idea of like, okay, we could terraform Mars. We could turn Mars into an Earth-like place.
Because there's an argument maybe it was at one time.
Yeah. So it did have water at one point. It did have an atmosphere, and then it lost it. And it's like, well, it lost it for a reason, and maybe we can generate it, but can we generate it again? But the idea of the amount of energy, money, time, resources to change Mars into Earth, why can't we just keep Earth like Earth? It's a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper to keep Earth like Earth. I gave this talk about Mars, and Mars is the worst place on Mars, or the best place on Mars is still way worse than the worst place on Earth. Like, you go to the bottom of the ocean, you're still worse off than Mars, or you're still better off than Mars. And
the hottest desert with nothing there.
The harshest, glacier. You're anywhere, And so I said that. I was like, yeah, so the worst place on Earth is still better than the best place on Mars. And somebody's like, even better in Cleveland? I was like, yeah, Cleveland. Yeah, sorry.
Valid point, Cleveland.